Well. Here we are. Here. That should work. Right. Can everyone hear me? Okay. Welcome along to a live stream. We're going to talk Josh King again, ole. And we're going to talk all things Fulham because it does feel as though. Can everyone hear me? Anyone in the comments, could you please confirm or deny? Where's the thing gone? Okay, so I've got a new laptop. This is the new laptop I'm working on today. It's all very exciting. I look a bit better. My old laptop camera was like awful, and it made me look like I was like in like some like underground dungeon. But this is much better, and the lights are still it's all light outside. We can hear you. Thank you very much. Thanks very much, mate. We're gonna go live until about 8 because I'm quite keen to watch the women's Euros. Someone on Fulhamish commented saying, "Oh, trust Jack not to mention the women's Euros." What on a video about Fulham in the transfer window? Too blokish, he said. I am like the opposite of a bloke. I'm the opposite of a bloke. So that was interesting. Welcome along. So some fantastic news coming out of Fulham today with Josh King signing a 4-year deal. That's just, for me, and I don't want to exaggerate, that's the best news. That's the best news I've heard at the club for years. For years. In terms of stuff off the pitch, not in terms of like results on the pitch or like games like we beat Chelsea, we beat Brentford. I'm talking off the pitch news. That is the best I've heard probably since we got promoted to the Premier League under Marco Silva. It's fantastic. It's utterly fantastic. Look, we knew he had 1 year left. We were getting quite nervous. We were getting to a stage where we're like, oh my God, is he actually going to run down his contract? And there's going to be interest from all other clubs and stuff. But I heard early in the summer that it was sorted. I didn't tweet it though, because I wasn't sure when it was going to happen. I didn't want it because the Luke de Fugros one I tweeted, I was like, oh my God, it's been like, and then it was 10 days afterwards, which was fine. I think that's fine. But with King, I wanted a bit more clarification before I went with it. And by the time I couldn't find that clarification and it came through. So fantastic stuff. That is unbelievable news. What does it mean? It means that, and you know what? The last week or so has been really, really interesting because, yeah, there's been an element of panic around the fan base. There's been people saying, oh my God, Fulham signed a player, yeah, blah, blah, blah. That I agree has been a worry, of course. But the way the squad's looking at the moment isn't half bad. It's not bad at all. Yeah, we've got 2 strikers. I think we need another one. Yeah, we've got a backup keeper in Bender, who I don't really believe to be a sufficient backup keeper. Apart from that, we are quite okay. We obviously, I think we need another midfielder. And this is all circumstantial if players were to leave as well. We've now got Josh King signed to a new contract. TC signed to a new contract. Luke de Fugros, another option. I think he'll get loaned. The plan is I think he will get loaned out. And Kenny Tete, obviously, alongside Castagna, who seems like he's back well from surgery. Robinson's almost there. We're in good shape. All this stuff of if we were to play with our squad this season as it currently is, we'll get relegated. I don't believe that. I think that we'll probably do worse than we did last season. Yeah, no Robinson cover. It could be Sessegnon at left back. Bassi can play there as well. But I think that we're in okay shape. Not brilliant. We need additions. We need a left winger for sure. Because I think on the right wing we've got Harry Wilson, Adama Traore, and Sessegnon who can play there as well. Am I missing someone? Reece Nelson's linked, of course. It's on the left-hand side that concerns me. We lost Willian, we've only got Iwobi. Nelson can obviously play there as well. Do I think Nelson's going to happen? Yeah, I think it will. I think it will happen, but I would have liked to have been happen because I read the report from the BBC saying, oh, we want Nelson by the weekend, and I think because they're going away to Singapore. I think they're going away for their preseason tour. It's very much what we had last season with Smith Rowe, where he did actually go out to, I believe it was America, and we were still trying to push the deal through, and then he had to fly back. Whereas I do wonder if I really want to see whether the squad is announced with Arsenal for who's going to pre-season. I don't know. Actually, I need to probably check. Has it been announced? Maybe it'll be announced tomorrow. If Nelson's there, it's kind of long because then he's going to fly out, and then we're going to have to negotiate, and then we're going to have to try and get him back to sort the deal. I would prefer if we're down the line to a stage where the deal was almost there, where he can just stay in London, because I think he wants to stay in London. Do I think it could be an option with Palace with a deal with Eze? I don't think so. I don't think so, because I think Palace want the release clause paid. Otherwise, he's not going anywhere. £68 million or whatever it is. Do I think Bournemouth will get him? I think he'd prefer Fulham, given he's got friends there. He was there last season. He knows the manager. He knows the system. So I do think Nelson will happen. I just hope it happens sooner rather than later. And like I say, I just don't want him to go out to pre-season with Arsenal and then have to sort of be like, oh, am I playing? Am I not playing? Do I go back? It's just long. I hate it when those sort of things happen. But of course, transfers take time. But we've taken our sweet time to do business this summer. But going back to Josh King, it's absolutely unbelievable news. 13 years at the club. I remember, I think it was one of those games. I think they do one a season where at half time, they even did it last season. The academy kids come out and play at half time on the pitch. And I remember Josh King was on the pitch at the time because they read out the names, and I was like, hold on a second, I know that guy. Let's go through the comments and I'll explain the story behind that. If we want to push for a higher finish this season, we need new faces, 26 players who will improve us. Yeah, I agree. I like my point being earlier, like, will we go down if we have the same squad as we had last season? No, but we'll probably finish lower because there's no oomph, there's no extra spice in the squad, there's no extra player. I mean, we only got 2 strikers. We will make signings. I'm sure of it. Let me just, what is happening with Romulo, Rocco Wrights, and Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan was interest, and he's got interest from other clubs. It wasn't like, he's at Motspur Park doing a medical right now. I heard that we had interest. I heard that he was interested in joining, and then Copenhagen came in. But he's a free agent right now. He's assessing his options. He doesn't need to rush into anything. But Fulham were just one of the clubs who were interested. And I think it would be a good backup signing completely. Someone's just sent me a tweet. Oh, it's not an important tweet. My bad. Okay, let me carry on. Thoughts on Luke de Fuggerol's 6-month loan to come back to get game time when Bassi goes to AFCON? That's interesting. I think that the AFCON situation isn't disastrous at Fulham. The way Sunderland have gone out about their business, they haven't thought ahead at all. Whereas Fulham have only got 2 players, Iwobi and Bassi. And yeah, of course, it'd be a shame to miss them in January. Got some big games in January. Do I think Luke de Fuggerol's can play? Well, no, I suppose Luke de Fuggerol's is a right-sided centre-back. So if anything, it'll be Jorge Coenca who comes in and plays left-sided centre-back with Anderson or Diop as it stands. So I think that Luke de Fuggerol's will get a year loan, and I think he'll do very, very well playing, hopefully, in the EFL, so we can keep a close eye on him. And then I think 26-27, he comes back. I think he'll be in the first team. I think he'll be playing, hopefully, Premier League football in the first team. Not every week, maybe, but he'll be part of that squad. Sorry, what is happening with... So, Romulo, no idea. Honestly, it's so strange how that's gone quiet. There was a price to pay. Another club's come in now. I just don't know. Maybe we're just assessing options. I know for a fact we've got a very long list of strikers that we're looking at. So, but the fact we put in a bid in, the fact Ornstein went with it as well, and there's been no backup since then, it's quite strange. I've never really experienced that. I've never seen that happen before with David Ornstein. But and then Rocco Wrights, another one. maybe I was told to tweet at a specific time, or I was told at a specific time because he was on the screen. He was playing the under-21s final. Everyone had eyes on it. Those who were watching. Since then, nothing. I mean, I think that he might leave Mönchengladbach this season. It's just whether the right club plays the right amount of money. I just don't know. It's all gone very quiet on that side of things. It's strange as well. But even Zinchenko's gone quiet. I don't know if that was a thing. I just don't know. And I've been this last week, although the news has picked up, it's been very, very difficult to get a gauge on what's going on at Fulham. They've kept things very well under wraps this summer. In fact, they do it every summer. But, they've done very well at keeping things from the press, even like first reporting that like Josh King had signed a contract. I think a lot of people would take interest in that story. Like I said, I knew about it, but I didn't go live with it because I just needed an extra clarification. I didn't get that, and then he signs. So I'm just pleased. I'm pleased he signed, obviously. Do you believe we will sell any first-team players? As it stands, I think there could be one or two go. I think I've just said the names all summer. Harrison Reed, Andres Pereira, I think are players that we will be open to moving on. I think Fulham are in a good position right now where I don't necessarily think they need to sell to buy. I think that they're in a good, strong financial position. And actually, we've spent nothing so far this summer. We've acquired 4 players on new contracts who, resale value, I suppose, is more important when it comes to Luke de Fougerols and Josh King. Tete, maybe, but I think he's going to commit his future to Fulham, and obviously TC is probably 1 or 2 seasons out from retiring. So Fulham have saved themselves a bit of money this summer. They haven't gained any money in terms of making any sales, but I think they're in a strong financial position. And if we were to bring in Nelson, let's say Nelson's the first signing, I don't know, but let's just say he is, because it seems the only one that seems to be minutely close right now, then I think that's obviously a loan with an obligation. There's no payment up front, and again, no money's been spent. Do I think we're going to spend big on a player? I think we will. I think whether it be a left-sided winger, a right-sided player, a midfielder, it just depends. It just depends on the market. But it's been a slow summer in terms of news. It's been frustrating, of course, but in terms of the individual bits of business that Fulham have done so far this season, or so far this summer, it's been really good. Like almost, I think we're a Muniz new contract away from everyone being like, well, that's really important business done internally. And yeah, I'm aware that the club are trying to tie Muniz down to a new contract. I hope that's next. I hope that's the next big thing. I tweeted about it like 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. And if there's an update on that, then I'll hopefully let people know if I hear from it, if I get the means to do it, to tweet it. So let's go back to the original reason why we're live. Josh King is going to make a huge bit of difference. Wolves interested in Wilson. I believe that was last summer. Yeah, so, okay, the other reason I've gone live tonight is obviously that I've dropped a bit of a 7 p.m. bomber. Seth Ridgen, who wasn't at the school. Let's talk King and then we'll go to Ridgen. Let's just talk King and then we'll go to Ridgen. But I'll leave this comment here to remind me. Right, so King staying is huge. I think he's going to be part of the first team. There now is a differential sort of like definitive. Josh King will no longer be part of the under-21s, I believe. No longer be part of them. The only possible way I see him dropping in is if like we are like dead on our feet. We don't have any 18s players to come through to play in midfield, and we don't have any 21s because they're all injured or whatever. That's the only way I see it. But I think he's now signed that contract going, well, I'm going to be around the first team every single week, making 20 minutes here, starting there. I think we'll see more starts from next season, but also Marco in the back of his mind. And I think when inevitably he gets asked about it, he's going to say it's going to, what was I going? He's going to say he's going to try and manage his minutes. and I think that's important. I'm glad that he's good enough to play in the Premier League. It's not one of them ones where sign a contract and we'll loan him out like maybe with Luke de Fuggerol's. But I think it's definitely a very, very good situation to be in. His resale value, as in his if he has an unbelievable good, let's say he has a, what's going on with this bloody, okay, am I muted? I don't know if I'm muted. Unmute mic. I don't know what's going on with this cable today. Usually quite reliable. Sorry. So if he has an unbelievably good season, let's say he plays 25 games. Let's say he plays 25 games, 8 starts, 8 Premier League starts, 6 cup starts, and the rest made up of the bench. And let's say he gets 3 assists and 2 goals. So these are massive numbers, but he'll be making a difference to the team. What's his value at that point? 3 years left in his contract at the end of next summer, at the end of next season, sorry. I think 19 years old he'll be. I think he'd be worth English tax, young player, big club comes for him, 20 million minimum. 20 million minimum. And that's just me. That's actually quite slightly optimistic. I wonder what other people think about that. Goal scoring midfielder is a priority. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think Lukic and Berger, for all their amazing work last season, there wasn't an awful lot of goals between them. In fact, I don't think there was any goals between them. I think Berger had his first shot on target at the end of the City game. And obviously Berger's got a good penalty against Man United at Old Trafford, but Lukic's only goal came against Spurs a couple of years ago. So yeah, that's obviously important. Pereira needs to chip in with more goals. Smith Rowe, if I was to put my stocks in a player this season, it's Emil Smith Rowe. I'm so moved, and I haven't really I've seen a few bits and bobs of what he's done in pre-season, and obviously there's just some snaps of him in pre-season, but I'm absolutely 100% moved by him. Right then. If we sold him, King, not saying I want to, but it's 100% profit as well. Oh, absolutely. And this is it's the same. It's not actually the same with Jay Stansfield because he came from Exeter, but that was a huge fee. Whereas this would be 100% pure profit. But I'm not looking at if King has one season, then we can sell him for a bucket load of money. I want King at the club for the next, at least 4 years. But there will be a point, I'm sure, in 2 years' time when he played 30 Premier League games or something like that, and he's the next big prospect. He's already in the England brackets. He'll be in the 20. I'd have no doubt he'll be playing for the 21 soon, soonish when he hits maybe 20, or even 19. I have no doubt that he'll get there. And then, of course, the senior team. I mean, the sky is the limit. And if he stays injury free and he gets his minutes managed, I think that we're in for a really exciting future. Really exciting future. Let's go back to Ridgen. Just give me 1 second. So the Ridgen situation's been really, really interesting. So he basically didn't sign a scholarship, wasn't there at the scholars' evening, even though he could have signed a scholarship. And I think the reason for that was because I actually don't know. I actually don't know why he wasn't there. I think maybe it was because he was talking to other clubs, or at least interested. Maybe he was talking. I think Liverpool, Man City, Man United have all been linked. I know Man United had a strong link. Laurie Whitwell of The Athletic basically came out and said that United are confident they can get him over the line. And I think, and I believe that has now gone the other way. I believe he may have been at a certain training ground today, training with a certain manager and a certain group of experienced players wearing a Fulham badge, I believe. That's all I'm going to say. look, to keep this kid, he's not going to be in the first team next season for sure, but he is on his way. Under 21's absolute star, and I think if he absolutely shines for the 21s next season, if we keep him, if we sign him to a pre-pro contract now, then signs his pro contract on his birthday on September 12th, and he's in the under 21s, that is what I call music. Well, that is what I call massive. Because he's like the second coming of Josh King, like a really good youth player. Can play in a very similar position, number 8, number 10. The midfield three, Dibley, Diaz, Ridgen, King last season was just extraordinary. So if Ridgen's U-turned and he's gone all United, well, I'm not sure. I believe he had a gander where he was definitely in Manchester, but now that he is apparently back at Motspur Park is good news. If I'm wrong, that's tough. That's tough to take. But I'm fairly okay with this. Fairly okay. That's all I'm going to say on it. That's all I'm going to say. Oh, so Ridgen staying would be huge tick. Luke de Fougerol's new contract, huge tick. King, new contract, massive tick. So all these calls of let's shut down the academy, I think is an overreaction. I think that what I was trying to explain earlier on my Patreon was like in an academy, category A academy like Fulham's, to have, let's say Fabio, because he came through, Fabio Carvalho, him, Stansfield, if I'm missing any, Marshall Godot, King, and let's just say Ridgen. Let's say for the sake of argument, those 4, because Ridgen's obviously, we don't know what's going to happen yet. 4 players coming through in how many years? Like 5 years? It's basically like 1 a season almost. And that's a player who, okay, yeah, we lost Fabio on a free. Disappointing. Are we interested in Harvey Elliott? I think there was interest earlier this summer, but I don't necessarily think that's going to happen now. Godot coming through, and he looks very, very, still looks good. I think he'll get a loan out. I think he needs a loan in the Championship. And then obviously the King being a real star, and Stansfield being sent, Stansfield being sold for a huge fee. It's incredibly encouraging. It's a case of the academy is working. We are producing good talent. The thing we need to improve in is tying those players down to contracts so they don't leave on frees. But if more players like Tantum and Dibley Diaz get out on loan, get their EFL experience, and then they go on and do other things, that's a good use of the academy in terms of if they leave the club and go on to, if they go on to play for other clubs, play around Europe, and they've come from the Fulham academy, that's a good thing. If they're not absolutely gold dust, where like they have to be in the Fulham first team, that's still a positive because we've progressed them, we've developed them, and they're now good assets for other clubs. But of course, you want them coming through in your team and playing in your team. And I think if this King, if Josh King works out the way I think it will work out, Stansfield, obviously, Birmingham bit the bullet incredibly early and incredibly irrationally on the transfer fee with Stansfield, and that's good money for the club. I don't think closing the academy is necessarily a good argument because a lot, even from the real young ages, young under 9s, under 10s, I think even under 8s, these are players who are like King said, he's been at the club 13 years. The club have invested 13 years in him, and that, imagine being one of those coaches who first brought him in, and the patience and the development, and you finally see that he signs his second contract, wouldn't it be? And his first big long-term contract. Like, that's going to feel incredible. If they're not at the club anymore, they're not at the club anymore. But in terms of hearing about it, and like, that is immensely a proud moment for the people who run the academy. Josh is his family, Josh himself, and Marco Silva as well, who sort of took the punt on him to bring him into the first team. And another one with Ridgen, if we were to keep Ridgen, I think that's a real statement of intent. If Liverpool wanted him, if City wanted him, and United wanted him, and he's turned around and stayed at Fulham and signed a pro deal, or a scholar to go on to a pro deal, which would be in September, unbelievable news. Unbelievable. And this is a kid who is playing at under 17s level at England. Like he's 2 years younger, even probably nearly, no, it won't be, it'll be 2 years. He's about 2 years, maybe just less than 2 years younger than Josh King. And I think that is very encouraging. I think the youth academy, despite its flaws, despite its difficulties with tying players down to contracts, you can now not be like, well, look at what Fabio did and blah, blah, blah. You can actually use that as an example and flip it the other way and go, Fabio Carvalho should have stayed at Fulham because now his career isn't quite as glamorous as it could have been. I know I'm being biased, obviously, but he had his space. I've said it so many times. Marco Silva said it in a press conference a couple of times. The number 10 position when we went up was Carvalho's. It was Carvalho's. Him leaving and Pereira coming in, who was going to play as a number 8, it all changed and we went to a number 10. So he had to play as the number 10. So now you can look at that example for the next kid coming through, whether it be Ridgen, whether it be someone else, and going, oh, if I work really hard and I become a really good footballer in the academy and, you know, work hard and score goals and assists, I could be the next Josh King coming through and playing Premier League football because Fulham will give me a pathway. Whereas Chelsea and Man City will be 20, 30, 40 times harder to break into the first team. You have to be exceptional. You got to be like a Phil Foden coming through, Oscar Bob, James McAtee, like really Rico Lewis, O'Reilly. I know they've got a few more coming through now, but you have to be absolutely exceptional. Whereas Fulham, the club we are and where we're located and you know what we do in the Premier League, mid-table-ish, there's more of an opportunity there, I think, because it's demanded as well by the fans. They want youngsters coming through. Yes, there's a lot when Pinnock and Czech are sending their kids to us. Exactly. Because I think there is a pathway. And this whole thing, oh, Marco doesn't want to play the kids. Marco doesn't want to play the kids. Since Marco's come through, okay, let's actually think about this before I actually say. Marco's brought through quite a few players. Let's think back to Savici Akanovic, who brought through Emerson Heidman. People are going to have to help me out in the comments here. Ryan Sessegnon. Emerson Heidman, Ryan Sessegnon. Steven Sessegnon. I suppose that was more Parker, actually. But you see what I mean? What I'm trying to say is that there's been as many youngsters coming through, I believe, under those managers, under Silva, as those other managers. So him saying he's neglecting the youth players is, I think I said it in a previous live stream, for me, it doesn't add up. And to then integrate Severidgen into the first team, maybe today, to integrate Marshall Goddo, Sam Amissa, John Asenga, Alex Borto, Alfie McNally, and Josh King all in the first team. That's not neglecting youth. And people could say, well, the only reason he's doing that is because we need numbers for pre-season. We need numbers for pre-season. Someone's just, okay, this is interesting. Oh, someone just sent me a picture of them meeting Cole Palmer. And I'm like, oh, that's not a Fulham player. That might be my least. Well, actually, I don't mind Cole Palmer as much. So he's in England. He scored in the final. He just plays for Chelsea, so I don't really like him that much. Yeah. And people will say, oh, the reason why we've got all these youth players is because we don't have a full squad of players. So we have to have youth to go out to pre-season to have a full squad. Yes and no. Let's think about it. Like Amissa was also and obviously Luke de Fugros. I haven't mentioned Luke de Fugros. We've only lost 2 first-team players. We've gained almost 2 youth players coming through, signing new contracts, and de Fugros and King, albeit King was around the first team. So we've gained a player. And yeah, I feel like I'm maybe doing a lot of rationale, but I think I'm rationalizing the argument that Silva neglects youth. I've just realized my mic's been off. How long has my mic been off for? Gosh, this cable is doing me no favors today. Okay, my apologies. I don't know. I don't know how long that was off for because I really went on one there. Let's move the conversation on a little bit. For those who didn't hear, it was me rationalising why Silva doesn't actually neglect youth, and he brings quite a lot of people through, at least to give them a chance in the first team. Even Callum Osmond as well. That's another point to make. He at the back end of the season, and then obviously the other argument. Mike has been fine. I don't know what's going on with this bloody cable. Then thanks very much, FFC Perry. I really appreciate that. What was I going to say? Oh yeah. The argument of he doesn't play the youth players. Like, why didn't he play Callum Osmond? I suppose. Oh, my mic never went off. I don't know what's going on then. I don't know what's going on. He never plays youth. Like, why didn't he play Osmond? Because we were in a situation where we were still chasing Europe, so we needed experienced players on the pitch, albeit it was Carlos Vinicius. Would I have rather seen Osmond on for 10 minutes instead of Carlos Vinicius just to see what he could do? Yeah. But the problem was in that specific game, they were sat back so deep with Southampton when they were trying to defend a 1-1 draw that Osmond would have come on and been really frustrated because his best attribute was getting in behind. And because they were sat so deep, there wouldn't have been an opportunity where he would have been able to run in behind, really. We've been able to hear Jack. Sorry, I don't know why anyway, my brother would say, Jack, shut up and just get on with it. Stanfield was frustrating for me. Would still like him. Still would like him. Stansfield was an interesting one. When a fan base who is quite loud and vocal, Birmingham City, fall in love with a lone player, and then have the opportunity to sign him on a permanent deal, they paid way over the odds in League One as well. They had to go up, and they did. And Stansfield, he was great last season, in terms of goal scoring, but a lot of his goals were from the spot. And in a team that did so well, he didn't set the world alight in League One. And look, players can come into form. And the thing is, he was one of those players in the under-21 squad for England that looked a little bit like you're not going to actually make it into, you could see so many players in the under-21 squad who are going to make it into the senior squad eventually. I don't see that with Stansfield unless he goes on he'd have to do it at Premier League level, I reckon. But if he was to score 43 goals like Mitrovic did in the Championship next season, I think England would probably have a look at him. I think he's probably got to be in the Premier League scoring goals for him to have a shout for the senior. Anyway, we'll move on from Stansfield because he's no longer a Fulham player. Vinicius was our Richarlison. Heartbreaking to see him go. I mean, really, to be fair. He was a third striker option and just didn't really ever get onto the pitch, did he? Apart from when Rodrigo got injured. Marco is just the best. I hope he signs a new deal. That's another one after Muniz. Hopefully it'll be Marco if Muniz signs. Yeah, absolutely. 1 year left in his deal. I want to see out my contract. Anything on Rocco? I was explaining earlier. Nothing on my end from Rocco Wrights. I inquired about it about 10 days ago to follow up. No movement. It's one of those ones where I think I was just explaining it because he was playing at the time on the television for the under-21s final. It felt like a time where people wanted that story to go out, and it did via myself. I was told about it at a convenient time, and therefore, obviously, I got the go-ahead to put it out there. So I think we probably talked to Mönchengladbach. I don't know whether it progressed. If it progressed, we probably would have heard something by now. Fulham Fan TV, good to see more Fulham fans in the space doing stuff like this. Do you reckon they will want to sign Ridgen so he can join up in Portugal? It could be an option. I mean, I tweeted out the other day, and it could come to fruition. Although when I tweeted it out, I didn't know at the time he was actually on the radar of Man United, and I was like, I don't think that's going to happen now. But actually, I think things may have U-turned. I'm not sure. But will he go to pre-season? Well, I suppose he's not with the under-21s right now in Portugal, and he'll need a pre-season. So actually, I think he would go. Oh, no, they'll come back and they'll have friendlies anyway. But I don't know. It's Hayden Mullins' call, isn't it? I suppose Marco Silva's cool as well. But I believe that Marco has a decent relationship with Richard. Well, like he does with all his players. No, anything on Rocco, we've done that. I can't wait for the last 10 days of the window for us to sign people. Yeah, classic comment. I'd like James McAtee. That's all gone a little bit quiet as well. Are you happy we are signing Arsenal casts off? Well, they're good players. They've all done very well. Leno's been fantastic. Iwobi's been phenomenal. Smith Rowe's going to get better. I know it. I believe it. I will die on the hill that he's going to get better. Even last season, he was actually quite good. I mean, he was good. He just had a few injury problems and didn't play a full 90, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Who else? Nelson was great, just got injured a lot. Could do better. Absolutely. And Zinchenko, I think, would be a great signing because he could play left back and centre mid. Am I happy with signing Arsenal cast-offs? Yes, I am. Do I think Fabio Vieira is a shout? Maybe. I wouldn't be too moved by that, but we'll see. Mike is off now? Are you serious? What's going on? That can't be right. Mike off now? That can't be right. That cannot be right. Let's have a little check. Edit mic settings. I think we're all good. Can't hear? What about now? Let's turn it up. Mike is fine. FFC Perry, if you're trolling me, that is hilarious. I can still hear you. Yeah, I don't know. FFC Perry's, your sound is just not working on your phone or whatever you're watching on. I saw Richard Rios to Roma has stalled. We should be all over that. Is there still interest? Richard Rios is one that's been banding around loads of clubs. We were linked like last summer. It looked like a really good deal. I'm amazed we haven't. Fine now. I'm amazed we haven't gone in for him. To be fair, there was interest, but I don't know if we've gone in for him. Charles Jones, Smith Rowe should be sold. Rubbish. Why do you think that? Why do you actually think that? I mean, 5-year contract, record signing of the club. We were never going to sell after 1 year. Yeah, not a good shout from me. From in my opinion, but everyone's entitled to their opinion. I just think that Smith Rowe is going to be way better next season, way better. And if he's not, we'll have a conversation for sure. Mike is fine now. Okay. Is Smith Rowe's talented guy? It's too early to bin him already. We've seen that he's definitely got what it takes. Of course, like in fits and starts last season, he was phenomenal. The Newcastle game, the Everton away game, where he finally burst into life after having a poor first half, let's just say, and then suddenly for the Iwobi goal, he burst into life. Palace away, he was sensational. And people are going to say, well, that's like 5 games out of 38, and he didn't complete a 90. No, I know. But I think he worked hard in pre-season. I think he's probably working hard in pre-season. And he's going to be the first person I ask Marco about, because I'm really intrigued as to where he thinks he's at. Is he ready to play 90 minutes every week? Blah, blah, blah. Snoop Dogg becomes co-owner and investor in Swansea. Football, eh? He's a busted flush. He doesn't want to be here or play football anymore. I just don't believe that for a second. Saying he doesn't want to be here, it's just like based on what? Honestly, with us not losing any first-team players, bar Willian and Vinicius, of course, and King stepping up, how many signings do we actually need? See, this is a really interesting point. Like, how many signings do we actually need? By the way, I'm going to stop in about 10 minutes. I'm going to go watch the England women's Euros. So get your questions in, and then we'll wrap up. I think we need 4, 5, max 6, but that is including if we sell players. If we don't sell any players, I still think we need 3 or 4 just to upgrade. But then you're going to have players like, in my opinion, we're going to have players like Bender not involved, Reed not involved, Traore maybe not as involved. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, what if Silva comes out and says Harrison Reed looks as the best I've ever seen him? I'm like, what do we do now? Yeah, I think Reece Nelson might be the first through the door. I hope it is. I was really expecting something like an Ornstein or a Fabrizio tonight. I really was. But alas, we will keep an eye on that Arsenal sheet for keep an eye on that Arsenal sheet for their preseason, for their team news for preseason. I've completely lost my train of thought again. Who you got starting up front for us next season? Rodrigo Muniz for me. Has to be. Doesn't has to be. That's harsh on Raul Jimenez. But Jimenez is going to have a shorter preseason because he's still recovering from the Gold Cup. It's good to see Luke de Fugros has been like, no. I've been aware of the fact that Luke de Fugros, who could have had extra holiday, has come back early and training with the first team. And I think Jimenez probably deserves a break. He was there for longer. He scored in the final, like blah blah blah. I'm not being like, oh, why if de Fugros is back, why is Jimenez not back? He needs his break. He's a much older kid, much older player. Whereas Fugros is a kid, he's probably absolutely chomping at the bit to make an impression after signing his contract. So that's fantastic news. That de Fugros is back in training. We all saw it in that video today, where he's slapping the backs of. No, in fact, he was going for the tunnel, getting his back slapped. This might be a mental take, but I see Evan Smith Rowe a bit like Dele Alli. He's got the talent, the confidence, just needs to be a bit better to untap the potential. Is that like a call on his attitude? I think his attitude's fine. I know what you mean. Ali breaking through was one of the most exciting things I've ever seen in football. Ever. When he was in 2016 squad for the Euros, and it just all went pear-shaped from there. So peak. His goal against Palace, where he takes it on the chest, turns, and volleys it in the bottom corner, is, for me, the best goal in Premier League history. It's an unbelievable goal. Okay, Kasami as well is quite good. Same stadium. Ali's is one of the best. No, it's the best Premier League goal in history, and it doesn't get talked about enough. Any updates on Mbangula? Douglas Luiz from. I don't think we're in for Douglas Luiz anymore. I know we were actually in for him, but I don't think we're going to win that race. I think Everton might be the ones who win that race. Mbangula, I think I saw yesterday that he's signing for another club. I'm not sure who. Someone can let me know in the comments. We're gonna go for another 5 minutes or so. Do you think we should sign a goalkeeper or give the backup position to someone from the youth team? I think we need to sign someone with like every single club has 3 senior goalkeepers, really. If we have Bender as a third senior keeper and we have someone coming in, as the second, that would make sense. Borto is a great choice. Great option for the under-21s, as is McNally. And then we'll see from there. The goalkeeper situation, I think, needs addressing. I think we need one. What's going on with these comments? Why is there like //U0026? Is it like emojis or something? Because it's come through like 3 or 4 times. I mean, for me, we need an 8 or maybe it's just a slash winger for the first team, and then just an improving depth. And like you said, replace sole players. Exactly. And no one's really close to the exit door that I'm hearing at the moment. So it'll be interesting. What happened to the Ornstein Romulo bomb? It came and it went, and it's very rare to see an Ornstein tweet not backed up with it's going through or it's collapsed or like. Now I definitely know that came out. I don't know why this has been like that today. Anyway. Okay, so yeah, it's really strange. It's absolutely very, very strange. Oh, Mbangula got a Werder Bremen. Here we go. So he's off to Werder Bremen. Any updates on whether Silva will be getting a new contract? I think the club will be talking to him. But at the moment, what's their bargaining? What's Silva's going to say to them? You haven't backed me yet. You haven't backed me in the summer like I asked. So why am I going to sign a new contract? That's what I believe would sort of be a sort of conversation happening right now. He's probably turned up, there's no surprise that he's turned up to pre-season. Suddenly we're seeing Tete through the door. TC. Was Tete before, actually? It might be before. It was before, actually. Sorry, it was a week before. Kenny, maybe King de Fugros, but yeah, I think the TC thing was probably like, I've just turned up to pre-season. Why has it not been sorted, sort of thing. So at the moment, Silva's probably a little bit furious that nothing's happened. I'm off to watch the women's. Have a good rest of the stream. We're literally going to be finishing in a couple of minutes' time. Thank you so much for watching. We've almost had 1,000 people at least drop by, at least click on the stream, and then maybe just click straight back off. But well, we've hit 1,000 now. The ampersand is glitching for some reason. It's read as and. Oh, I see. Right, yeah. Maybe that's why it's glitching. That's interesting. One last thing from me: why the kit's taking so long? Why are the kits taking so long? I believe there was an issue with the sleeve sponsor. I don't have that on record, but I believe that was what was the delay, or is the delay. I actually thought it was going to be dropping at the beginning of July. That wasn't to be. I do have an idea, and I do know some things about the kits, but I can't quite say it yet, I don't think. But it's exciting. Someone also went in the, like, you could easily go in the club store at Craven Cottage and ask like when it's coming out. When that happened, someone told me they went in the club store, they asked when it's out, and they said end of July. So I think it's going to be out whilst we're in Portugal, which, by the way, reminds me, we are going to Portugal. I am going to Portugal. I'm missing the Nottingham Forest one, so I'm going out on the Monday. Going out on the Monday, going to stay there until the Sunday. So I'm there for like 6 nights, which is great. I'm really excited. We're going to see, I think we're going to see one more friendly out there. They haven't announced it yet, but I believe there's going to be another friendly. So, and then during my time there, it's not going to be me relaxing on a sun lounger. Maybe I'll do it for one day, have a bit of a break and a holiday, but I'm going to be trying to acquire some interviews, which you can see on my Patreon, which is where I'm going to leave things. Subscribe to Patreon. We're almost at a big number of target. The big number that I targeted before the start of the season. We're almost there. We need about 8 more through the door. That's a rhyme. £5 a month. £5 a month. It really isn't much. If you go to the pub tonight to watch England Euros, I'm sure you'll be paying north of £5 for a pint. So for a whole month's worth of content, which is Fulham news and maybe interviews with players, maybe a manager, who knows, and that's obviously under 21s and senior level as well. Do subscribe. The link, of course, is, if you're on YouTube, scroll down, it's there. There's a little Patreon sign. It's in my bio of my Twitter and Instagram as well, which is all Kelly FFC. Thank you so much. This has been fun. I've enjoyed the new laptop. Happy days, but slightly clearer screen, camera. Don't know what was going on with the mic tonight, but we're fine. Thank you so much for watching. Let's go and watch the women's Euros. Hopefully England get the win against Sweden and get through to the semi-finals. And then we'll see what happens with Fulham. If there's any Fulham news, big news that are coming up, we will be live again to discuss it all here on Twitter, on Patreon, and on YouTube as well. Thank you so much. What on earth's going on here? Okay, let's go. We will speak very, very soon. Come on, Fulham. Let's make some signings and let's go live again in the very near future. Come on, Fulham.